Welcome, Rebecca, to Italy.
Thank you.
So I have a couple of questions for you. So as you work around the world, does anything stand out as a common link between members of the TechSoup global network?
Well, what really stands out for me is how focused the group of people are on a set of shared values. You know, the network is really about people. And in this case, we've got a lot of great people working inside the network, and they're serving a lot of people working around the world on really important issues. And what I find is that they share values like they want to do something bigger than themselves, bigger than what their own job or the confines of their own organization or even their own region or country will allow them to do. And so this kind of shared value of wanting to do something more for society and really seeing that value of working in collaboration and openness and trust with other people is really the thing that is quite exciting about the network that I see as a common thread, no matter how different the conditions may be.
Thank you. And I know you had a career both in for-profit and non-profit sector. So are the implications for governance and leadership practices the same, or are there important differences, do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I spent a lot of time when I first came into the sector, which is now, I'm in my 17th year of working in the third sector, so it's been a while, but I spent a lot of time thinking about what was truly different or not, and I think sometimes there are preconceived ideas on both sides about the parts they don't know about the other side. I would say that there are some differences that are important, and I can comment on them, but there are certainly quite a lot of similarities. And so I think that if one looks to the literature or best practices or training that is aimed at the rest of the sectors, either government or business, they will find a lot of value from that, a lot of ideas about how you set strategy and how you set goals and how you manage people and projects and technology. All of these things I think are very useful and cross-sector. I think some of the important differences are that we have a lot of different terminology. So you may have to transfer, you may have to kind of translate rather, not simply to another language, but to the language of business and the third sector not being the same. So for example, when business strategies are focused on customers, it may have in the nonprofit world, it may have a connotation that doesn't sound right to the ear when you're used to working with beneficiaries or stakeholders or community. So some of these words are different. And we're not always funded for our work directly. It's not always something that a customer is paying for per se, but perhaps it's a funder or some kind of other source of funding that is supporting activity for a certain group of, migrants or group of people in some way that are being helped. So there's still a relationship there, and it's important to understand both sides of that, but you may have to apply the principles differently. So I think in those ways it's different. I also think that decision-making is a little bit different. It should still be disciplined decision-making. And that applies everywhere. But sometimes in the business sector, it's pretty clear where the highest return will be on an activity. And of course, in corporations, they have corporate social responsibility activities. They do things that they're going to make a decision about that might not be where there are high returns, but rather investment back in the community. But when you're, in general, working in the third sector, most of your decisions at the end of the day you'll sometimes be making those choices to serve an underserved community, even if there's not the greatest ability to have returns on it that are financial. You'll have important impact returns, so to speak, social returns. And so I think sometimes the application of theories will be a little different in the third sector because of that. But in general, we can learn a lot. We should be open to those ideas from various sectors.
Thank you. And there's a lot of discussion about digital transformation. And do you think digital transformation is essential for the future of the third sector, or is it just optional?
I do think that digital transformation is very important and is something that every community organization, every nonprofit should think about and consider the work that they do in that light. And I say this not because everyone needs to become a technology organization. Obviously, organizations do have the right skills to do to deliver the meals that need to be delivered, to educate youth in digital literacy, for example, to provide public health care. There are so many different things that those people in the sector know how to do better than anyone else in the world. But that said, the beneficiaries, the youth that you're working with, for example, they're getting used to doing things digitally. So they're over time not going to expect to come for services and have to fill out paper. They're going to expect to put maybe their information in a mobile app or on a mobile device. And there are benefits to be had from following those practices, because sometimes that information can be shared with others more easily, and we can actually attack the root causes of some of the social issues better, because there'll be better information and it can be made more transparent to people who can help, so they'll better understand the situation. So I think there are very important aspects of digital transformation that apply to the sector, and I would really encourage people to consider it from the point of view of the human, that there will always be a need to do things that are not technology, but there are ways in which we sometimes don't use our human resources very well because we're not using digital technologies.
Thank you. And where do you see a network like TechSoup in 10 years?
Well, I'm so excited about the future of this network. It's just inspirational to go around and work with partners and to see TechSoup Italia this week up close and interacting with the community has certainly been a highlight for me. I think that in the next 10 years we need to continue to grow and transform ourselves, because we're helping people in the social sector with digital transformation. We're also working with many technology companies, and their offers and how they're engaging with people for their services are changing, and their business models are changing. So all of those things mean that we have to reinvent and figure out new ways to allow users and donors and givers and people doing work directly in the third sector to interact with each other and find each other. And we hope to do a lot more sort of specialized services, allowing for the kind of training and micro services of either consulting or just finding expertise that's needed to help with technology choices and adoption. Obviously have many more cloud offers, as well as sometimes the on-premise licensing that there can be very good reasons to maintain if you're working in conditions of poor connectivity or poor security or poor electricity. A lot of things require you from a security point of view to do something different. So I think that increasing the scope of those offers and providing services will help us be relevant. And also this will be a network that's providing an application layer on its platform that will allow other people to make better use of low-code applications without being highly technical and having an entire team or spending a lot of money on developing simple websites and simple applications, because we're going to offer those as well through the platform. So hopefully increased relevance, increased impact, and meeting a better, broader set of needs for organizations doing all the important work in the universe.
Yeah, so good luck, TechSoup.
Yeah, thank you very much. Same back to you.
Thank you, Rebecca, for inspiring us.
Okay, thanks, Emma.
TechSoup. Potenzia il tuo impatto sociale.